Hi, I'm Victor, and in this video, I wanted to give you a quick report on my bond portfolio. In 2022, I really put a lot of time and energy into learning bonds beyond my previous knowledge, really investigating corporate bonds and a variety of different bonds that I felt would be a good investment in 2022. And I'd like to give you an update on where I'm at with that bond portfolio. My goals for 2022 with this portfolio was first and foremost, put in the time, energy, and go seek the right knowledge to become an advanced investor in bonds. And I'm really working hard at it, trying to become better each day. Two is have a positive return of 6 to 8% for 2022. Now that would be great because 6 to 8% return would be awesome, especially since the S&P Index is down 18% at this time. I'm pretty much overweight on stocks, meaning I have a lot of my capital in stocks. Real estate's number one, stocks is number two, but I don't move real estate all that often. It's really stocks and bonds that are being traded more actively. So a 6 to 8% return would be great for 2022. And with that, I would outperform the S&P Index by a real good margin. This portfolio would really do great for 2022. Let me review some of the data that I'm seeing that shows that bonds are really beginning to get momentum and continue to be an area of interest for me where I'm putting capital to work. Interest rates have gone up a lot in 2 months. If you're looking for a mortgage, good luck. If you would have gotten your mortgage 30-year fixed in February, you could have been at 2.5% up to maybe 3%, a fixed rate for 30 years. If you go shop for a mortgage right now, you're paying 5 to 5.5. So you're up considerably, pretty much twice as high. That's an example of interest rates really moving. Now, the interest rate paid on bonds has gone up considerably, doubled. So if you're a bond holder in February, that same bond, if you bought it today, would give you twice as much, if not more, interest rate today. That's why I got interested in bonds, is to make money. And with interest rates going up, there's an opportunity to make money in bonds. The period after COVID up until late 2021 for stocks has been the most prosperous period of time in my adult life. I've invested since I was 25, so I'm going to age myself 28 years, and went through the dot-com era. I've been an investor ever since. And that period of time after COVID and up until the end of 2021, it was a phenomenal time. Stock prices went up just at incredible rates, great returns, awesome. But the party's over. Here's the year to date for the stock exchanges. And it's a combination of two things. Beginning with, the stock market was overvalued. The Federal Reserve pumped a lot of stimulus money into the economy. That money ended up basically increasing the value, inflating the prices of stocks, real estate, you name it. So that was part of it. The second piece to it is now the Fed is increasing interest rates to try to control inflation. When they increase that interest rate, it has an opposite effect on the stock market. And for 2022, there isn't anything on the horizon that's going to change the situation. The pressure on stocks will continue on for 2022 into 2023. I'm not a forecaster. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just seeing those facts. I don't expect stocks to do very well for the rest of this year and going into next year. I still want to buy quality companies and be a long-term investor in quality companies. That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed in 28 years. But what I do want is I want to make money in 2022. I want to grow my capital in 2022. And the best vehicle to grow my capital in 2022 is looking like bonds. So here's a comparison between some bonds and stocks at a very macro level. I'm going to compare some bond funds versus the S&P. Vanguard short-term bond fund, very popular bond fund. I own that bond fund. It's outperforming the S&P by 12%, not including the higher interest rate you would earn on this bond fund, just on a value perspective. Over the last 30 days, this short-term bond fund has pretty much kept its value, gone up a little bit. Meanwhile, the S&P has gone down 12%. So that's an example of how it's holding its value and going to pay you a higher interest rate. Intermediate bond fund is beating the S&P by 10.5% in the value, the price of a share of that fund versus the price of the S&P. And again, that intermediate bond fund is going to pay a lot of interest, and it's holding its value better. And then last is long-term bond fund. It's beating the S&P by 9.5%, and it'll pay you a nice interest rate. Those are the data points that I'm seeing, and those are the data points that I'm using as I invest more capital into my bond portfolio. So here's a list of the bonds that I own in this bond portfolio, from the bond that pays the highest return versus the one that pays the least amount. Here's the short-term bond fund that I showed in the previous slide. It pays a nice return, 2.11%. It's very low risk, and it's kind of a set it and forget it investment. Again, this bond fund, it's holding its value, and while stocks are really losing value, the indexes are going down very fast, and it's going to return to you a 2.11 return. It's better than losing money. But as we look at some higher risk, higher reward bonds out there, Rite Aid is an example. You may be familiar with that retailer. They retail pharmacy products, healthcare products, consumer type products, and they're going to do well whether there's a recession or not. And they are in financial trouble, which is why it's such a high return bond. But that bond, if Rite Aid makes it through this challenging financial period, it'll return to me 31%. Summit Midstream, oil industry, I'm very familiar with that industry, a return of 21%. And Spirit Aerospace, now the travel is back. Aerospace companies are very active, very busy, making lots of money, 12.6%. And I owned this stock before I went over to this bond fund. I believe in this company. I think they're healthy. This is the Mexican oil company. This is kind of a Chevron that exists down in Mexico, paying 11%. And I can go on, but you can see where I'm trying to make money in good amounts out of some corporate bonds. These are riskier, but I also have some very low risk bonds. So these low risk bonds with the likes of Kraft Heinz, Berkshire Hathaway, Morgan Stanley, these are solid. So my portfolio, I might have a bad apple here or there, but in general, I believe I'm going to do let's call it 10% return in 2022 out of this portfolio. All right, so I wanted to just revisit my goals of my bond portfolio, and I hope you found, the information interesting. And if you are also looking for a similar outcome, which is, hey, stocks have become super volatile, I want to find a way of getting a positive return in 2022, 2023. I hope this video was interesting. I certainly have learned a lot in bonds, and I have a more to learn, but I'm really trying to achieve the goal. The first goal of mine is to really become an advanced investor in bonds. And I'm really getting my hands dirty, learning as much as I can on these bonds, learning how to diversify both on term and on the rating of bonds. And it's been really interesting. I'm very confident I'm going to have a 6 to 8% return for 2022, maybe even better. I'll be measuring that monthly, but I think I have the path to get there. And compared to the stock market, negative returns that are out there, that'll be a very good 2022. And I want to outperform the S&P. That's the barometer. That's the comparison that every good investor is going to compare himself to. So I want to have this portfolio beat the S&P by a good margin and overall help me as an overall stock and bond investor beat the S&P. So this video is for entertainment purposes only. I hope you found it interesting. I'm not recommending that you buy any specific corporate bond or any type of security that I listed. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it interesting and maybe it created an idea or two for you. Do me a favor and like my video. That'll help the channel. If you found the information interesting, you could subscribe to my channel. And if you click the bell, you'll be notified when I create another video. Thanks again for watching. Good luck investing in 2022.